The appellate court decision goes on to state that, quote, in June of 1991, a three-man medical board committee re-examined the petitioner, meaning me, and determined that while he suffers from a permanent back disability. Wait a second. The appellate court is reading a June 10th, 1991 three-man medical board report signed off by the chief medical officer that states I have a neck and back disability with cervical and lumbar radiculopathy. The 1B board never read this report. This highly regarded three-man medical board report findings was also held back from the doctors that I talked about earlier. The appellate court now just violated their own administrative laws, 13353, 13352, 13377, and 13323. Again, the 1B board never read this report, and the appellate court now states I have a back disability, of which the 1B board never addressed at any time when they retired me. The fraud made its way into the court system, and the appellate division is now reversing my case due to the fraud. Again, they're not allowed to make a medical determination on a medical report that the 1B board never read. And more important is they're acknowledging that I have a back disability, which the 1B board never mentioned when they retired me. What about my back? When a fireman puts in for a neck and back disability, the 1B board and the board of trustees by law has to answer to that. It didn't happen in my case. The appellate court's decision does not even mention at any time in a two-page decision that I was retired on a concocted disability called pain syndrome. This is unbelievable. The word pain syndrome is never mentioned in their two-page decision. How could this happen? Here's an appellate court reading documents and never mentioning what I was retired on when they reversed my disability case. Easy. The fraud now caused the appellate court to reverse my decision, thereby causing the appellate court again to violate their own administrative laws. Remember the CPLR law that I read earlier? Of Rosemary Gold submitted to the courts to have all the documents put in. All the documents were requested for the court's review that went to Madga Deconinck, and the entire book of records that Marlene Gold stated are all in the book that Mary Sullivan also had full control of, where all my records were. Also, the March 91 memo that Mary Sullivan called my firehouse and was trying to sabotage my pension was also missing from the court records. How dare Mary Sullivan call my firehouse and make a reference to the fact that I'm trying to get out on a disability pension. And how dare she states that my father went out. My father had 30 years of service before he got injured after 30 years of service. He was never injured before at a 5th alarm fire in Brooklyn, Bush Terminals. he severely injured his back. My father was the most, and is the most, respected firefighter that I ever knew. Not because he was my dad, but he was the most respected firefighter that I know. And my father was a great man. And I always said, if I could be half the firefighter my dad was, and be half the man my father was, I'd be a happy man. This is illegal what you done. There were also many orthopedic reports never read, and many neurologist reports never read, and many of these reports are dated after this fictitious pain syndrome came out on the 1B medical board. What's even more strange is right before the appellate court decision, this same court announced a decision involving my case, a separate issue, that the appellate court granted me a preference to have my disability case heard at the appellate court, where they speeded up the process. This appellate division statement, dated July 27, 1994, where the 4 justices in the appellate court granted me this preference. In this rare decision, the appellate court found that I was suffering from a severe post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of the fire and the stress of what the fire department was putting me through and continues to put me through. Remember, the 1B board stated my psychologist report in the last 1B board, he stated that it was subjective. Even Justice Gabriel Crosman was on this decision for my preference, and he was one of the same appellate judges that reversed my disability case on 11/15/1994. I asked for a re-argument with the appellate division. I was denied. I had done many pro se motions with the appellate court where the Corporation Counsel answered all my motions. They're all stamped. Each one is stamped by the appellate court that they received them. They all have stamps on them. I was told by the clerks that if they stamped them, the appellate court judges would answer to them. The reason why I did a pro se motion for re-argument was I realized that the fraud had been ongoing, that it never stopped in the court process. So I had put all the medical evidence and all the documents back in with my pro se motions to go back to the appellate court to ask for re-argument. They denied my re-argument, and they lost 6 of my pro se motions.